Yes, guys, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for the last game until the 26th of December as Tottenham look to get back to winning ways as we welcome Leeds United to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We will be taking you on the pre-match show all the way up until the watch-along, and people in the studio, Mr. Dago, I'm not sure who else is with him. They'll also be taking the post-match fan show. As we go along here, guys, feel free to get your comments in the chat, any questions for us, and feel free to make it a super chat. We'll surely be gladly to answer them. But we are joined by the one and only Sean from Spurs Talk Show. Shawnee, I mean, it's their game today. What day is it?
If my internet holds, man, if my internet holds, then I'll be able to get through this. It's game day! Unbelievable internet issues from the get-go. Within the 5-minute countdown, my internet dropped 3 times. It's a new record.
I know. I was sitting here panicking. I was like, I'm not prepared to go on my own. Do I? Do I just put out another countdown timer? I didn't know what to do. But look, we have got Mr. Daigle coming in here as well, just in case it happens. But big up, Daigle. Daigle, how are you keeping, my man?
Oh, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Obviously, I'm back in London and back home in the studio, so it's all good. And yeah, I don't want to say looking forward to this. Get this game done with, and then we can have a month off to relax.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we all need it emotionally, mentally, physically. I think we all need a bit of time off. I think the World Cup break has come at the right time. Sean, you're right there, Sean.
Yeah, is he?
Oh, I think Sean. Yep, that's gone.
I think he's gone. Anyway, we'll keep motoring on. Big up, Ranjit, Nick. I don't know what to call you anymore, but big yourself up, my man.
I'm in black. I'm in mourning, mate. I'm in black. Mourning for this football team.
Sean, let me stand up.
I think we're all in mourning, to be honest with you right now. Let's try Shawnee again. Yeah, here he is. Big up, Shawnee. It's all right, my man. It's all right. But look, I've got to tell everybody everything they need to know. Just quickly, of course, kickoff is at 3 p.m. today. It's at the greatest stadium in world football, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The referee is Michael Salisbury. Never heard of the guy before. Probably drafted in to make Tottenham lose. And we've got that idiot Paul Tierney in the VR room who has not been kind to us this season. And then the injury news, Sonny, of course, is out injured, but announced today he will be going to the World Cup. So congratulations to Sonny. Romero, of course, is out, and Ryan Sessegnon is out with a tweak to his hamstring. For Leeds United, Stuart Stallis is out, Adam Forshaw, Archie Gray, Matthias Klick, Lewis Sinistera, and Patrick Bamford are all out today as well. But look, guys, I'm going to bring back a bit of nostalgia here. We'll start with you, Shawnee, and then we'll get Daigle on this as well. Look, last year against Leeds, we hammered them. It was February. Wingbacks were combining for a goal. Kulusevski was brilliant. Son was brilliant. Salzburg played a beautiful ball for Kane. And it was a real indication of what we are actually capable of under Antonio Conte. How do we get back to that?
Look at this.
Daigle, we'll let you answer. I don't know what's going on.
I was just looking. There's been a big injury. I don't know if it's to an England player in the Man City game. You started talking about the nostalgia of 4-0. Then I was watching that injury. So repeat the question for me, David.
I was just going to say, how do we get back to where we were when we bet Leeds that day? Fullbacks, bombing forward, combining Kulusevski, Magic, Son was class. Salzburg, lovely ball to Kane. It's a real indication of what we can actually produce under Conte.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I said it when I came on We Are Tottenham TV yesterday. I just want to see this game where it's the last one before we break off. Just let Tottenham go and express themselves. Just go. You know what? The fans and all of us at the moment, there's a dark cloud over us for many reasons with what's going on at the club. But just sign off with a bang. Just go and put in a performance. Go and express yourself. And Leeds like to attack as well, don't they? So it could be an open and expansive game, and hopefully, if Kulu starts, there's your creativity. So that's what I want to see. When I think that Leeds game as well, David, was kind of like the start of where we did start playing a bit more. Obviously, we had the defensive strength, but this is where we started expressing ourselves. And Kulusevski had a blinder that day. Matt Doherty got a couple of assists, if I remember. It was just because we allowed players to go and express themselves, and I just love to see that today. But whether we do is another thing.
Well, Brian, look, worst case scenario, look, obviously we're all sitting here hoping we do get the result, but if we don't, do you think more fans will turn on Conte and be Conte out going into the World Cup period?
Yeah, I mean, we this is the thing that's it's really weird, because if you look at that stat where it shows the first 38 games and points managers have won, he tops Pep and he tops Pep and Klopp. That's no mean feat, is it? So I understand this with the style of football. I understand it. I want to see better football. I want to see us playing with swag and getting the job done. But if it means we have to do this for the time being and getting the points on the board, then do it. I'm just as much Conte in as I am Levy out. And as people have said, when you look at it, it's been 4 managers now with those defenders that we've had. And no one can get a tune out of them. So I don't know how you can blame Conte. I don't. The style of play, maybe, because I remember him at Chelsea.
But Brian, let me ask you this: with the modern day way of playing, you have to be able to consistently pass out from the back and deal with being pressurized. We've seen our defenders can't do that. So, are they also not helping the style of play? Because I've seen us start games well, like Newcastle started well, dominating a bit of possession, and all of a sudden the people start kicking the ball into the stands, kicking it away, and then the pressure builds, and then a mistake happens, and they go and score. So are they actually hampering our style of play going forward as well?
Yeah, they are as well, David. And when you say the defence, but we've got a goalkeeper that can't play out from the back as well, and for some reason we keep doing it, and do you know what? There's sometimes when players. Sometimes they try and gain things on the pitch where the manager's giving them advice, but obviously on the pitch at the moment they sometimes play to what they think. There's no way that 4 managers in a row have told these defenders and a World Cup winning goalkeeper to keep doing something that they're really bad at. You can't keep trying to get them to do stuff that they can't. It's been 7 years for Davies, 8 years for Dyer,
5 for Sanchez.
Yeah, and they cannot do it. How many more years do we have to go through it before we go, they can't do this, and then adapt?
Yeah, I agree. Look, for me personally, I think they're absolutely killing Conte. A number of things. You go back from all the way from our last game from preseason against Roma, all the way to now, it's been error after error after error after error, and they're all individual error mistakes. You even go back to our 2 goals against Nottingham Forest. Go back, look at the first one. Yes, we got the ball. Yes, they turned over the ball and won it. But Matt Doherty was caught between no man's land. He couldn't make up his mind quick enough. He was playing around. Now you're thinking, okay, if you're Matt Doherty, okay, you've been playing around. There's obviously danger on your goal. Sprint. The guy's jogging back. Jogging. You look at Sanchez. Now, basics of defending. I don't know whether it's changed since my day of playing. I'm not so sure it has. But you're always taught, show them on the outside, show them away from goal. Sanchez just lets him skip by him unchallenged. Lets him, and that's where the first goal comes from. Then you look at the second goal. Dyer runs through midfield after the mistakes have already happened at the back to try and get us a goal back. Loses the ball, gets turned over. Basuma wins it back, plays out to Sessegnon. Now, Dyer's rolling around on the ground. As a centre-back, your first instinct should be, oh shit, who's plugging the hole I left? Better get up, better get back, and I'll go down when the ball goes out of play. It's called sacrifice. It's called going through the pain for the jersey. No, he sits there rolling around. Sessegnon then gets his pocket picked while Langley is running on the outside to provide an option for him. They break. Sanchez is running back. He looks over his old shoulder, sees Sam Sturridge there, and the cross comes in. He's rooted to the spot. He doesn't jump. That's kind of like either this back line has given up on their content, they're not playing for him, or they're just lazy and they pick and choose when they want to play. But for me, you've got 2 of the best managers in world football, Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, who are renowned for having good back lines. If they can't get a song out of them, nobody will. People say, for instance, Poch might come in and be able to play better. He ain't using Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer was backup. He couldn't get into his best 11. And in the All or Nothing, when Jose Mourinho asked Eric Dyer why he wasn't in Jose's team, Eric Dyer proceeded to go, I don't know.
Yep.
Now, when Matt Doherty was asked about Jose Mourinho, he said he was good for me. He says, okay, then why didn't you perform? I don't know. It's all you keep hearing from these guys. And then all you keep hearing after that is, we want to get better. We want to improve, but you just don't see it. And for me, I don't think you can throw a manager under the bus with this back line. But Sean is back with us. Let's hear what Sean has to say, my man.
That's the most sensible thing you said, Shane.
How you guys doing? I'm going to try one last time. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to leave you all in peace. And sorry for
no worries, my
disaster.
man. But look, where are you sitting with Conte out at with Conte at the minute, Sean? There's a lot of mixed opinions flying around.
Oh, dude, listen, on my channel, my comments is usually a place of peace and love and happiness.
Yeah,
it's usually fairly kind of like consistent. Over the last couple of days, I put out 2 videos that are discussing it, giving my thoughts, and I've never seen so many arguments. It's quite, not between myself and people, but between people and other people that are going their 2 sides on it.
It's
very,
crazy.
very, very controversial take. For me personally, like, I'm not Conte out, but I'm getting super bloody frustrated with the style of football. I don't necessarily agree with all of the excuses. I understand that there are excuses. I understand that we've got injuries, that we're playing twice a week. But, the other 6 teams plus West Ham are also playing twice a week. Well, I know they might not necessarily always playing the same level and they have a better chance to rotate. I think that for me, like always, right, I know some people say that this is sitting on the fence. But for me, I think if you want to have balance to an opinion, then there's so much space in the middle of the argument. It sounds very similar to me right now as it has done with the Daniel Levy take in the past. Brian, cover your ears. But like for me, it's like in the past, the Daniel Levy take is it's always his fault. And now, and for me, it's like, no, like he gets a share of it. There's shared responsibility, shared accountability. Everyone gets a slice of the pie. Some gets larger slices than other. At the moment, I feel like people are entrenched in their view. People that are like defend Conte, back Conte, they don't want to in any way, or very few of them, what I hear about, want to give too much of any kind of level of criticism towards Conte because it dilutes the argument. And if they like people get, they're in the campments. It's like politics, you're right or left, and it's usually unreasonable to be too far on either side of the spectrum. For me, I think that I want Conte to stay with us for a long time, as long as he gets backed, as long as he's happy, he commits, and that we get to playing some decent level of football. And I think even with the squad that we have, we are capable of playing better football than we currently are. I don't agree.
Would you even agree with that? Like with that, considering the last 3 managers are fit, and because the thing is, like you look at the centre midfielders, you can't really accuse them of too much because they've been the standout performances this season. Kane's got 11 or 12 goals this season, so you can't really put a lot on him either. But it all stems down to that backline, Sean. It's the same backline over a number of managers now.
Well, I think it's not. I think, look, the back line, individual mistakes there's a slice of the pie, a pizza pie, right? A slice goes to the individual mistakes. Hugo Lloris, uncharacteristic performance this season. I think that maybe Conte looked and saw Tottenham last season and saw an overachieving, overperforming version of Ben Davies and Eric Dyer and thought, actually, they're good enough. I just need a long lay, right? And if Conte, and listen, a lot of people like to infer, reading between the lines, and say, well, Conte might have said he was happy, but he wasn't really happy. All you can really go on is what's been said and go with that. Otherwise, you're just speculating.
Well, here's what
right?
we don't take enough account into, though, Sean. Like, it's easy, well and good saying that, but we won't go into talking about how much of being a manager is playing 5D chess. Like, let's be real. He can't sit there in the press and hammer these guys, knowing there's a potential his job hinges on them, because it's like anybody. Someone comes out and criticizes you publicly and you have to work for them, you're going to down tools. But no one wants to.
Okay, but I'd go with
Jose
that.
Mourinho, in fact, Sean, Jose Mourinho hammered the players in the press. Spurs fans did not like it. The players did not like it.
I'm not saying that wasn't the point. The point I was making was he backed in the summer, right? And he said he was. Now, to me, there's been I'll come back to your point in a second, but just let me finish the point I was making. There's been a bit of a delay in the acclimation, in the settling in of certain players. It hasn't happened quick enough for Bissouma, right? It hasn't happened quick enough for, and to the point you were making about not hammering players, I don't, you know me, Dave, on your channel, I'm always very honest. I've never liked Conte's ability to handle the press. Some people say it's his grasp on the language, whatever, but he knows what he's saying when he comes in on day one of Jed Spence coming into the squad and saying you weren't part of my team. And the way that he's handled that kid, I don't think is particularly impressive.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah,
so whether you're Conte in or Conte out, if you're reasonable, you should feel that if you're bringing in a young player into the team and you're using him as collateral, you're using him as leverage in your, in your implicit messaging through the press to Daniel Levy. I find that kind of behavior abhorrent. I don't like it. It's unnecessary for a young kid to have that pressure and then that disappointment when he's just joined the squad. For me, the overall arching thing is I want Conte to stay. I know the consequences of him leaving. I know that we don't know where we go from there. That doesn't mean I'm happy with the style of football. It doesn't mean I'm all in. And I think people that are right now that are like 100% you've got to back Conte. I think that some of them are a little bit afraid of putting their head above the parapet and voicing any kind of negativity, any kind of criticism towards Conte, because then it will dilute the argument, or they'll be accused of being someone who's not behind and or someone that's going against the grain. And to me,
I don't think so.
The reasonable last thing I'll say, Dave, the reasonable stance here is to say there is a whole bunch of reasons why we're playing the way we are, and some of them belong at Conte's feet.
I would flip it. I don't think the Conte out people talk enough about how detrimental the injuries have been, about the common period.
True, very true,
with Dyer and Sanchez. You got a question. October, November, Nuno got sacked. October, November, we came off from the top of the league under Jose Mourinho. Same guys in the back line. Do they have a problem with October, November's in the amount of games? It just goes to show. But no 100%. One will actually give nuance on that side of the argument.
No, I will 100% say, like, I'm not Conte out, right? So I can't speak for Conte out because I'm not in that camp. But I'm kind of like, if there's a pendulum, I'm kind of pushing a little bit because I don't want him to leave, but I do want him to, like, belt up a little bit and play football that we're capable of. Someone asked, I was on an Arsenal fan show the other day, and I went on to defend another Tottenham fan, and one of these Arsenal guys, he asked a very simple question that was very difficult to answer. Name me three teams in the Premier League that play worse football than Tottenham Hotspur. And it's a difficult one to answer. And it's an unnecessary question that we shouldn't have to answer because Tottenham are better squads than 12 or 13 minimum 13 teams in the Premier League, and yet we're not playing better football than the vast majority of them. And that, to me, is an issue that we shouldn't have to face. At the same time, Dave, I 100% agree with you that those that have given up on Conte are also missing the point and are throwing the baby out with the bathwater and are not recognising the impact of injuries, not recognising that there is a slight difference between playing Champions League football every single week and needing wins in every single game and playing Bodo Glint for Arsenal or whatever, right? There's a difference. You can rotate more. So I understand that there's variables. There's lots of impacts here. But for most people, I think should just sit in the middle and say, Conte could do better. The players can do better. Daniel Levy needs to back, and he needs to get the checkbook out in January and go again. And at the same time, if Conte leaves, where the fuck do we go? So we should all get behind the system, but recognize that nobody's infallible here and that there's problems that everyone needs to recognize, acknowledge, and get behind the solutions to.
Fair enough. Daigle, have you anything to come in off the back of that before we move on? All I'll say is I'm kind of with Sean. What you got to remember, and I've said this before, I'm 100% Conte in, but that does not mean I'm not allowed to question what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I can say, why is Spence not playing? I can say, why is he doing this? Why is Emerson Royale playing? Why isn't Basuma starting when he hasn't been? You can question. This is like Sean said, if you question something, it doesn't mean you're in or out. Yeah. I will never, ever, ever say the words Conte out.
Exactly, Brian. Exactly.
Brian. Ever. But am I unhappy with the way we're playing? Yes, I am. Do I think that some of the substitutions he's making, like the sub when I was at Nottingham Forest, he made one sub at 1-0. He should have made the subs he made when we went 2-0 down before it became 2-0. These are the things that we had this with Pochettino when we said his substitutions were reactive, not proactive. You can question your manager.
Yeah, without wanting them to leave. Yeah.
Exactly. Just because his name is Antonio Conte doesn't mean he has a free pass and he has the golden ticket, passes go and collects $200 on blooming.
Here's the thing though, Brian. I'm all for questioning the manager, but when we were applying double standards is where I fall out of it, because not so long ago when Conte wasn't making changes, right? He was putting out more or less the same 11. We were winning games and getting results. Even though not playing well, we were still getting results. Fans were at that time screaming for rotation. Now that since then, through injuries and everything else, he's given them rotation. They're now going, oh, well, why is he picking this guy? Why is he picking that guy? You can't ask for rotation and then also go mad because he's rotating players. It's not his fault. He still has players to pick from. People ask for a change in formation. gave them the change in formation. Now people are saying, oh, he needs to try something different. It's like, I'm all for asking questions, but don't ask a question and then contradict it with another question. It's absolute horseshit. You can't apply double standards. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I have no problem questioning Conte over someone like Spence, Gill, people like that. But what I won't accept is people asking for rotation, and then rotation comes, moan about the rotation, moan about players he's picking. It's like, well, when you ask that question, who do you think he was going to pick? Kylian Mbappe?
For me, I don't like. I was someone that was calling for 3-5-2 at times when we looked out, right, and it worked in moments, it didn't in others. And you hold your hands up. Like, none of us are paid 15 million quid a year to decide these things, but as fan channels, as content creators, and as Tottenham Hotspur supporters, I think us three, everybody else in the community, and every single person who watches Tottenham week in, week out has not only an ability or like they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to, I think, hold the club, hold the individuals accountable, and question it. Because otherwise, you're just sitting there as nodding dogs and have to watch the world pass you by. You're okay. You should be allowed to ask questions. You should be able to have your opinions,
but
not be smashed down.
Who's telling people they can't ask questions, though? Nobody.
Oh, there's lots of people that are saying, hey, you can't question him. He's infallible. I was on a show last night and I said to this one guy was like, you're an absolute moron for even being Conte out. I was like, well, first of all, you haven't listened to what I'm saying. I'm not Conte out. But I'll ask you a question. Is there anything that Conte can do right now that would change your mind on hashtag back Conte? And he said no. And I went, well, that's the definition of belligerence, mate. Like, if you're just sitting there and saying, oh, I'm going to worship this guy and trust everything he does, then, like, I don't know why you're on a fan channel. I don't know what's the point of having an opinion. Like, you don't have an opinion. Your opinion is his opinion. Like, for me, look, I just think that I think everyone's welcome to their opinion. The thing that annoys me the most isn't the about Conte, not about the situation, but about the thing that frustrates me the most is not about who does he pick, why does he pick it, the formations, all that stuff. It's the setup of the play. I don't think that there is a necessity to always sit back. And I don't think that people like Harry Kane and Heung-min Son enjoy spending 45 minutes camped on the edge of their 18-yard box. It's just my take. I know he's paid a lot of money. I know he knows more about football than I do in 25 lifetimes, right? But my opinion is I think that we can have a little bit more freedom. I know that what comes with that is sometimes the consequences of pushing things up. Right? You're going to necessarily concede more chances. You're going to get pushed down into the channels behind it. But I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to accept the risk. I don't like, a lot of Tottenham fans don't like Daniel Levy because they don't like his risk tolerance for, or his appetite for risk in going and spending money that he doesn't know is going to generate ROI or deliver trophies, or that's not as important to him. And I understand that take. For me, I don't like managers that have an appetite for risk. That is, let's not lose at all costs. If it takes us to sit back on the edge of the 18-yard box, rather than push forward, for me, it's something that I'm not particularly a fan of. I understand that other people might think it's necessary. I don't. That's where I get frustrated.
The lineups are out, so I'll bring them up. Just give me 1 second. I'll just finish off this Conte segment quickly, and then we'll get into the lineups. For me, I think it's absolutely madness to hire a guy for his CV, knowing the style of philosophy and management that comes with it, to an unsuccessful club and ask the successful guy to change his ways. I think it's absolutely madness. But look, I think people are questioning Conte. I think rightly so. You've got to ask questions. But like, I think there's been an unfair narrative that he's asking his players to sit back for 45 and relinquishing them in the second half to go gung-ho. No one wants to talk about how opposition tactics change. We've been 2-0 down in our last 5 domestic games going in at half-time. Now, ask yourself this. Why would the opposition come out and play the same way they played in the first half when they're 2-0 up and make it an end-to-end game when they don't need to do it? They sit back, they set 11 men behind the ball, and they just wait for us to chuck the ball in the box to take it again and go back at us. People are saying, oh, he's just letting them off the leash. That's why they're playing so well in the second half. Nobody will talk about the opposition tactics and how the game changes, which I don't think is fair either. I think the dynamic always changes. Narratives put out there. But look, starting lineups, we'll let Daigle in on this one first because me and Sean have hugged the content debate. Which I enjoy. I'm
resting my voice for the watch-alongs. We're all good. We're all good. I'm resting my voice.
You were going to Captain, and in goals, is there a shout for Fraser Forrester after his performance against Forest midweek? We'll get on to that. I think we all knew this one. Don't be shy. You can be upset, or don't be annoyed. You can be angry, I suppose, but we all know this is going to happen. Emerson Royal at right wing back. We've got Dyer, Langley, and Davies at centre back. Perisic at left wing back. Bentancur and Højbjerg in midfield. And ladies and gentlemen, return to the 3-4-3, which I'm buzzing about, with Kulu, Richarlison, and Kane. On the bench, we've got Fraser Forrester, Jaffet Manhandler, Tanganga, Matt Shockerty, Jedi Spence Tacular, Davison Fuck Off Sanchez, I am Ollie Skip, Bosuma, Brian Gil-Messi, and Lucas Tendinitis Mora. But Brian, I mean, looking at that lineup, are you happy with it?
Look, it's a strong team. It's a strong team. I am concerned, and this isn't just for Tottenham Hotspur. I'm concerned for all teams that have got play. I didn't want these games to be played this week, especially before the World Cup. Everyone was trying to make sure they stayed fit, so they're on that plane. But now those players know that they're on that plane. I don't think these games should have gone ahead. In order, not just for Tottenham. I mean, everywhere in world football, football should have ended before these, before the teams got officially announced, to protect the players. And then these games are going to be a bit of a nonsense for me. I think I've been saying for a while I would have wanted to see Fraser Forster in goal, and after seeing him at Forest, that hasn't changed. Listen, the defense
for him tonight, Brian, because I actually just said on my show, I think he made 4 or 5 saves that Hugo Lloris wouldn't have made that on Wednesday night.
Do you know what? As well, what I did notice with Forster as well is when he came out to punch the ball, not only did he punch it, it went flying. It weren't just it's gone to the side, or it's he made.
He's got a right hook on him, isn't he, mate?
Yeah, mate, I wouldn't want to be at the end of it either. And he's just so commanding, the size of him. I mean, I did say something stupid when he came out for the warm up, and the first half he was at the goalkeeper where we at our end. I was like, you know what? For someone that's 6 foot whatever, he don't look that big actually. And then obviously they came in the attack, and there was a player next to him. I was like, scratch that, he's a giant. But yeah, he made some really good saves. He had a very good debut in a difficult circumstance with the performance we had. I think there was every shout for him to honestly.
So is Hugo under pressure today then to deliver?
I think do you know what? If it wasn't the World Cup, then I would have said yes. But seeing that they're going to the World Cup, they'll have that and then come back. I think Hugo walks straight in. Thank you, Jason, my brother. So yeah, I mean, as I say, the defense is what the defense was going to be. Going back to the 3-4-3, what I am looking forward to seeing is Kulusevski and Richarlison in their preferred positions. This is what I've been wanting to see. I mean, from what I remember, I think Richarlison has started. Maybe when Kulusevski.
I think Richarlison be on the left.
Yeah, exactly. Richarlison will be left.
Richarlison and Kulu played. I think they played 1 game together in that 3. I don't think they haven't played many games together.
And I think some of them were after Richarlison came on for some, wasn't it? And so they've only had a little bit. So I think actually started together. Yeah, this may be their first or second. So that I'm happy to see. And obviously you got Kulu, who's not going to the World Cup, so he can go. He will go full throttle as best he can. This is the best we could have hoped for, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's one that he's gone for, to be honest with you. I think if he went with the 3-5-2, I would have been pissed off today. But I think the fact that he's gone with the 3-4-3, Kulu's back, with Richarlison back, it's nice to have some fresh names up in that forward line. I think we can all go in with a bit of excitement, a bit of freshness. Kulusevski back in, the creativeness he brings. But Sean, what's your reaction on the lineup? I want to start with Royale with you, and then you can talk about further up the pitch. But Spence, for me, I thought he came on. I thought he injected some enthusiasm, a bit of life, a bit of energy, a bit of pace down that right-hand side when he came on. Was there a shout for him to be given a shot today over Royale?
No, not for me. I don't think that Royale should have played either. Listen, for me, I think that Matt Doherty, when he's played at his best, was in that 7-8 game period after Kulusevski came in from February until April last season. Earlier this year.
You've been vocal on this. You said this a lot.
The relationship, the chemistry that those two had, they forged it immediately. Kulusevski even came out and said it. I think it was this week or must have been last week. Kulusevski said it's all about relationships. He understands players. He understands he tries to understand where to go, what players like. And with Doherty, he figured out that Doherty likes short passes. And so he tries to help work those triangles, which is something I've spoken about many times over the last month or so. And so for me, like, I don't think that Royale and Kulusevski have got the same relationship in any way, shape or form. I would have liked to have seen Doherty play with Kulusevski. In terms of the argument for Jed Spence, listen, I think that Jed Spence put in an admirable shift for his first half an hour, his first real minutes, coming on when we were 2-0 down with a team that didn't give a shit, right? So I don't want to hold him accountable. I'm not going to say that, I think it's very difficult to judge. I think he did some good things going forward. I think the header was cool. I think he looked interested. But if I'm being entirely honest, and I know people are going to probably disagree because they want people to see more of Jed Spence, and I understand why. But for me, I think his positional play was poor. I think defensively he was all at sea, didn't know whether to move forward or go back. And I thought his ability to pick out a relationship and a pass to Kulusevski was literally zero. If you actually watch that second half back, the last 30 minutes, Kulusevski was free and in better positions, and Jed Spence decided not to pass it to him four or five times. There was several, right? And to me, I'm not saying that that's Jed Spence being selfish. I just think that there's no relationship between the two of them yet. And I understand it's their first half an hour playing together. So why would you have forged a relationship? Well, the counter to that is that they have trained together for, apart from when Kulu's been injured, 2 months out of the 4 months they've been working together. They had about enough time on the training ground to at least have forged something. I didn't see it. To me, I think that when we're going to look at Leeds' team in a moment, Leeds offer a lot of threats down their flanks with a lot of their players. And so I'd be a little bit worried if Jed Spence was there, having seen what I've seen about his defensive things in that 30 minutes. I don't want to see Royale. I think that the right decision should have been Doherty with Kulusevski to try and regather that relationship that they had in the second half of last season. The rest of the team, I think, generally picks itself, and I'm okay with it. But yeah.
I was just to say one thing about Jed Spence. Obviously, the one thing I did, what I have liked that I've seen with him, obviously, he'd only had bit parts, but when you saw it against Manchester United, he came on for a bit. The first thing he did was pick up the ball and just run, and try and be, as a wing back, is in the creative side. Against Notts Forest as well, when he was waiting for someone to pass him the ball and there's no movement, he ran past 3 players and got a free kick. Sean, you're right, completely. He's got to work on the defensive aspect. There's areas of his game he needs to work on. But I think what we're all saying, we want to see a more attacking brand of football and see it more positive. He will give us that. You're right that it might leave us a little bit more exposed at the back. You're completely bang on with that. I think everyone is wanting to see him just because we want to see that progressive, creative football and someone driving it.
I want to see him as well. I really want to see him as well. I just don't think he did enough against Forest to justify it. And this game is so important.
I do.
And there's going to be, last thing I'll say, Dave. Yeah. There's going to be 5 players in that team today on Tottenham who, Brian, you've already touched on it. I heard you saying it first before anybody else on We Are Tottenham TV earlier this week. And it really resonated with me. Half of those players are going to go in 50-50s. They're not going to necessarily want to go in and do it and to risk anything. Leeds don't have that same concern. Yeah. I think today could have a few different upsets across the Premier League. I think Fulham could get a result against Manchester United. Believe it or not, it may be difficult to predict, but I think Wolves might even have a little bit of a say against Arsenal, just because the majority of big teams have got the majority of their players that are facing a World Cup call-up in a week's time, they disappear, and the smaller teams don't face that risk. I think that Leeds-Tottenham today is a must-win, and for me, given the shape of what Leeds and how Leeds are going to play, and if we sit back, by the way, last thing I'll say, if we sit back in the first half, we could find ourselves in a whole world of trouble against Leeds. They are not to be taken lightly, and that's why I don't think that we should have had Jed Spence. I'm not saying I'm writing him off. Of course not. It's one game. I want to see him play. I want to see him get his confidence. I want to see him look to have more clearer thought and easy, just choose the easy decision. I was impressed by what I saw that was positive, but there was enough for me that was that I think that Doherty would have been the right decision today.
When it comes to Jed Spence, I do think there was a couple of passes where Kulu made runs where maybe Spence could have found them. I just don't think the kid backs himself in that department yet to be able to find them sort of passes. And I think that's why he didn't play them. But what I will say, from seeing the kid, I think there's enough to say you've got to give him more opportunities if they're available, but he's also not the finished product either. I think I think that was clear to see as well. A lot to work on. But no Basuma in midfield. He's been dropped out for Bentancur and Højbjerg, even though Basuma was looking like the player that we bought from Brighton. And he's probably been better than Højbjerg the last couple of games, Diego.
So the first half against Forest, he was outstanding. The second half, he was abysmal. But that was most of the players. Let's be fair. But again, when we were watching the Liverpool game, I think Basuma was okay in the first half, but I thought he was incredible in the second half. I thought he was absolutely outstanding in the second half. And it seemed to be role reversal. I think you know what? Like Sean said, I think this game is so vital for so many reasons. It's vital that we cement our place in the top four before this World Cup break, and we know where we are coming January. I think it's vital that we put in a good performance and attack it, or at least a decent performance, so that the crowd don't turn.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if we go in 0-0 at half time and it's a bad performance, the boos are going to be there. Now, I don't believe they're at Conte. I believe that there are a combination of things.
I agree.
You can't just single out and say that's all on Conte.
No, of course.
I know that if I was there right now, I'll be booing the players' performance. And I'll be booing the board, and some of it would be go Conte. But they're the main two. But you could be blaming the referee. You could be booing many aspects of the game. So we just need to
boo the board on February the 1st if it all
exactly
goes up. But...
No, but this
not before then.
It's going to happen. People are walking to the ground today, no matter where you are on any spectrum, Conte, Levy, players, whatever. They're thinking right now, okay, it's going to be another boring first half. Let's hope that they get off to a fast start. Let's hope.
He says the game will start at 4 p.m. Brian, second half.
But you know exactly. But you know what I mean, David. This is what's happening now. When you walk into the ground, all the talk in the pubs or walking through, unfortunately, is will we be able to score in the first half? Will we go 1-0 down? Will it be second half Spurs? And it's not like when it was peak Poch or good times where it's like we're going to win today. I can't wait. This is brilliant. That's what we need to alter today. And like Sean said, it's vital that we get these 3 points. It's.
So would you have played Spence though? Would you, Brian?
No. Well, basically, what I'm saying, what I think why the call for Spence is because of what he's brought when he comes on the attacking threat. But I don't know what I would do right now with right wing back. In all honesty, Sean, I can't.
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult.
I'd like to see Spence, but when you look at it the way you said it, if we're left at the back and Leeds, one thing they will do is they'll attack. If we're exposed, it's another thing. But then you look at it, and with Emerson or Doherty, they're leaving us exposed. With Dyer, it's all over the place. So that right wing back, it just goes to highlight how much of a problem this has been over the years. We got 3 there, and I don't know which one I'd start.
It's like pick an instant death, slow death, or like something that takes like a couple of years. You know what I mean? Terminal. It's pick your poison. I just want to touch on one thing before we do move on to the Leeds lineup. I just think for me, I think it'd be very, very interesting to see if we start trying to push people forward and have a bit of possession, and then all of a sudden we're relinquishing it through stupid passes, giving the opposition possession, and then they start coming on to us, or do we start sitting off on the back foot from the very, very beginning? I think that'll tell me everything I need to know today personally, whether it's through us giving away poor possession, because although we haven't scored, I think it's 8 games running, we haven't scored inside the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You go back and look at some of the chances. It's not like we haven't had chances to score some goals either. We just haven't took them. But today I'm more looking at, do we sit back from the off and just give Leeds the ascendancy?
Hope not.
Or do we actually try to get on the ball, try to play, and we're just giving them the ascendancy through giving away sloppy passes and possession?
Well, that's different. That's different. If we try to play proactive, progressive football, and then it turns out that it's just sloppy mistakes, individual mistakes, then we know where the ire and the fire needs to be thrown, right? That's a different situation. But Leeds United, where are they? 13th in the league, 12th in the league, right? They're on the back of some really good form, having overturned Bournemouth and then overturned Liverpool the week before. Like they're on the back of some good form. But look at this 11, right? There's some threats there. Rodrigo's a big threat. That Gnonto, the little fella, I don't know how you say it.
It's the biggest one.
Aronson and Somerville, right? Those front four.
He scored a couple of winners, Somerville, hasn't he?
Absolutely, minute? Yeah. He got the assist against Liverpool as well. Like for me, there's massive threats going forward. There's also massive vulnerabilities at their back, like Koch,
Yeah,
Cooper.
big time.
These guys are not anything like our level. So I'm expecting Leeds to play massive front foot football. We should have opportunities as well. It should be a really good game, like it always is. But if Tottenham set up to just allow them to have the ball and then to sit back, and you see Harry Kane and Kulusevski like managing and trying to like pocket Rocker or Adams on the edge of the 18-yard box at halftime, then I'm sorry, it's bad. It's poor decision making, it's poor management, and it's unnecessary. You've got 90 minutes of football to play, and then you've got 60 or 35 days off, right? You don't need to manage like energy levels anymore. You don't need to, not for this game. So if we
Here's
go
the thing,
for it,
though, he may feel there's no need, Sean, but some of the players going to the World Cup might just take it upon themselves.
Well, and that's another variable that we have to keep an eye on. Like every one of us that's watching the game, you, Brian, in your studio, me and Dave on the iShot Spur, we need to keep an eye on, like, off the ball. When the ball is over here, keep an eye on what's happening with the players that don't have the ball. Are they really tracking back? Do they really look interested? Are they really trying to throw themselves into it?
They didn't against Forest.
They didn't against Forest, no. If there's a 50-50, who's going in for it? Is the Leeds player willing to put his legs on the line? Is the Tottenham player not? We need to hold these players. I understand that they've got important things coming up for some of them, but we pay their wages, so respect the process.
I hope they do. Brian, what's your thoughts looking at the Leeds lineup here? Do you agree with Shawnee that their back line is gettable? But look, for me, I also think there's a concern. You look at Aronson. All the guy does is press till he wins the ball back, and he's good on the ball. You've got Somerville, again, another one, fast, pacey. He will press. He scored a couple of late-minute winners. If he's running at Eric Dyer, he's going to get a lot of joy. You've got the young kid, Gununtu. He's only a youngster, but he's one of them. Picks up the ball, he's direct. Our defense can't handle that. Rodrigo has a couple of goals in him. So is there cause for optimism, but also cause for concern?
Yeah, you got to remember as well, world-class goalkeeping performance coming up, because Meslier is apparently one of the Lorry's candidates.
He's auditioning today.
So yeah, it will be like the Tim Krul at Newcastle when he's made like 18 saves against us.
Yeah.
You just know it's written in the stars. Listen, one thing you've got to say, and I said it last season with even Bielsa, they leave everything on the pitch. They will run through brick walls. They will do everything. Their away fans are very intimidating. They will make a lot of noise today. They will make a lot of noise, and there is there are concerns. I've been very impressed with that Somerville. The guy was on talking to the boys yesterday, and Sean mentioned this. Gnotto has come on and done a few good things recently. They're a young team that have got the bit between their teeth, and they will fight. They will fight, and they're on a high as well. Beating Bournemouth the way they did last week, the confidence is with them, and we shall see. They will be a threat. They will be. You got to remember, away we battered them last season. At home, they gave us a game. All right, it was Conte's first Premier League game at home, but they gave us a game, and I think they will again today. I really do. I don't. By the way, someone said Meslier is not the answer. I completely agree, but you just know. As he's rumoured, it's like, oh, okay, let's have a worldie today.
Young Gavin Bazunu is the answer. Everybody go check out his saves and his distribution. It's absolutely unbelievable. On the Leeds bench, they've got Jack Robles, Luke Ayling, Firpo, Lorente. I don't even know how to say that one. Greenwood, he came off the bench, scored there last week. Perkins. I think that's the young lad they signed off, Sonny Perkins. And that young lad they got from West Ham over the summer. Joe Gelhardt and some kid called Joseph. So you would say we probably have a better bench to be able to impact the game. So look, very interesting Leeds lineup there. Very, very interesting. But Sean, Brian, is there anything that you guys want to touch on specifically for the last maybe 6-7 minutes?
No, not that I can think of. Listen, it's the last game of the season. Let's just hope that we all get to do our fan shows or don't do our fan, whatever, and just get to say, right, that's it, done. This part of the season's over. Yeah. We're still in the top four. We've got a win, and let's just hope, and I do mean hope, that in January I'm proven wrong. Let's just hope. I don't think I will, but that's what we got to hope for. We got to hope that
everything hinges on that.
We got to hope that contracts get sorted out for both Kane, Conte, and whoever needs to be. let's just hope when we restart in Boxing Day, isn't it, as our first game, that things are looking a lot rosier than they do right now, and then at the end of January. But most importantly, let's just sign off with a bang today. Let's just make the fans happy.
100%. Yeah, the one thing I would say, I'm sure there's no one that's listening to this that's actually at the ground or at the stadium, but if you have any influence, and all it takes is a few people to create, a Mexican wave. So all it takes is a few people to create an echo chamber of noise. And for me, if we boo at halftime, if we boo the end result, I don't think it does anyone any favors. I don't think we're at that point. It's not a tipping point. We know what's coming up around the corner. We got as Brian said. For me, look, I'm someone. I said it in February or March or April, whenever it was, Brian, that if we had a shit show summer, I would have moved to Levy out. I don't think we did, but knowing where we are now, knowing what's on the horizon with Liverpool ownership maybe moving towards the Dubai Sports Group, which is just going to be a disaster for us. Yeah. And then if Manchester United and the Glazers also pivot and find owners from that sort of source of money, then for me, regardless of what's happened in January, if both of those clubs sell to foreign money that has a disregard for the value of money, and that the most difficult thing for them to do is to hide the source rather than find the source, then I might naturally have to pivot to Levy out, not because I think they've done a bad job, but because I think it's time, and that they've taken us as far as we can, as they can. But even if that doesn't happen, over to Daniel Levy in January and Enoch, take that 50 million that you didn't spend, take the 65 million that we've already made from the Champions League, go and find another 50, 60 million from underneath your mattress or wherever you hide it, and back Conte and back the team and give us something to get super excited about, because the second half of the season, things do look more favourable with our fixtures. So today, let's just not shoot ourselves in the foot by being a further 3 points behind Arsenal, Man City, and give the chance for Manchester United to get ahead of us, etc. Let's go out there.
Ended. Does anyone know?
Man City won. I think,
it's still 1-1. The one thing I will say, Sean, on that very, very quickly is if it is a bad performance, I fully expect you may hear stuff about Levy and Enoch out. I think you're going to hear that today more than Bruce.
Well, that's why everyone each to their own, mate. But for me, I'm holding my fire. But listen, I'm like I say, I'm reasonable. I'm a reasonable man. People say that if you change your mind, then you're a flip flop. And I really like
flexibility of thought, Sean.
No, it is like a flip flop is somebody that has one opinion and then doesn't have any new information and then just changes their opinion, right? For no particular reason at all. Someone who has an opinion based on a certain piece of information in the background in the past, and then as time moves forward, new information emerges, and then you go, okay, based on this new information, now I change my mind. That's not called a flip flop. That's called someone who's mature and who can recognize that their previous opinion wasn't correct, and now with more information they have the right to pivot. And that's what people should do. You should, if you're entrenched in your view, regardless of what information comes up, then you're just belligerent and stubborn. And to me, there's a massive difference between being having a flexibility of thought or being a flip flop, and it basically comes down to how you interpret new information.
Yeah, fair enough. But look, I think we'll start sort of capping off here. We'll get your guys' score prediction, and we'll also get where people can find you so that we can let Brian and Ranjit / Barry, Mr. 1,000 names, can get on with the watch along. So look, Shawnee, just in case your internet goes, we will start with you, my man. What's your score prediction, and where can people find you, brother?
You guys can find me at Spurs Talk Show. I'm pretty close now to 4,000 guys. So if anybody has watched today and hasn't subscribed, please do me a favor and just smash the link. Even if you don't like me, even if you hate me, it just shows some support to the content creator. And I'm begging. Shut up, Nick. I can hear you in the background, you mug.
You flip flop. You massive flip flop.
Yeah. And I think the game is going to be an absolute cracker. I'm going to go with, and I put a bet on this. I think you should have, if you are a betting man, don't condone betting, but more than 3 goals. I'm going to go 3-2 to Tottenham. I think it's going to be an absolute, it's going to be a cracker of a game, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm predicting goals as well today. But guys, the link for Shawnee's channel is there. Get over there. Seen some people saying, "Oh, I really like Shawnee," kissing his hole, saying, "Really like Shawnee." Really, I love how nuanced he is and everything else. So, guys, make sure you use that to get over there and smash that subscribe button. But absolutely, Love the support on today's show. Time is flying by. People have enjoyed it. So get over there, check it out. But another member, popular member of We Are Tottenham TV, of course, is yourself, Daigle. What's your score prediction? A lot of people like to big you up in the chat as well. So if those who aren't over there, where can they find you?
So first of all, I just want to say to Peter M, who just commented on this ring, saying like his late dad used to make these. This is actually my late grandfather's. So this ring means more to me than anything in the world. But yeah, they can find
me. Is it a signet ring? Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It never comes off my finger. Never.
So signet ring is like something that used to be made a long time ago. I don't think they're quite as popular anymore, but they're lovely. Like they're really, really nice.
Black onyx.
Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Look it up. Do a Danny Rose and Google it, mate. There's some homework
I'm
for you.
dyslexic. I can't spell right.
Do a Danny Rose on signet rings. But yeah, where they can find me, Brian Ireland, Danny Kiriakou, Ben Kaufman, Ryan Isaacs. You can find us at I forgot the name of my channel for a moment there. Tottenham on Tour. Tottenham on Tour is the name of the channel. Obviously, I'm back in London now, so we'll be able to do a lot more stuff because I'm on the same time zone as the majority of them. I'll be doing a lot with We Are Tottenham TV whilst I'm here because I'm here till the end of the season. But yeah, you can find us at Tottenham on Tour. But make sure you go and subscribe to get Sean to his 4,000, get David to his whatever bloody 1,000 he's getting to. He's escalating at such a rate.
You're on the Niner, aren't you? You're on the Niner soon, aren't you, Dave?
You know what? We're actually 4 away from getting over 8.5, which would be absolutely unbelievable heading into the international break. But if there's loads that want to help me get more tonight, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Oh, I did give my prediction, did I? I did give my prediction.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah,
very, very quickly. Listen, I'm not going to change from what I said yesterday. Unfortunately, with the way we're playing, I will bite your arm off for a draw right now. So I'm going 1-1 or Desmond's. And I think because Sean's going for a cracker of 3-2, I'm going to meet him in the middle and I'll go for a Desmond. I'll go for a 2-2.
fair enough.
You know what it is? If we go for a draw and we win, I'm excited. If I go for a win and we draw, Brentford have just scored. Brentford have just scored.
What I will say is it does not matter unless we capitalise on that today because we have failed in the past. But it's good news.
Arsenal fans are going to be unbearable. They're going to be unbearable.
Fuck them anyway. Scum. But look, for me, what I will say is I'm actually going to go. I've had a hunker of a feeling the last 2 days.
What of a feeling?
Hunker of a feeling. Hunker.
Oh, yeah.
4-4 keeps going around in my mind the last 2 days.
4-4.
But
Jesus Christ.
you know me. I can never predict Spurs to drop points. So I go 4-3 to Tottenham. That's what I'm going with. I think there'll be goals today. In fact, if anyone wants a sneaky bet on a 4-3 or a 4-4, I think it's like 80-something to 1. Throw €1 on it, throw €2 on it, double your money. Might be good for you. But look, guys.
Gamble responsibly.
Exactly. Gamble cheaply, put 50 cents on it and take home 40 quid. But look, what I will say to people is you can also find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Look, you see Daigle there, you see Sean there, Ben Sim from We Are Tottenham TV and stuff like that. I'm only a few away from reaching 8.5K. People want to get over there and subscribe. I'd be greatly appreciative. We have all different opinions with all different thoughts and have good debates. So make sure you get over there for that. If you don't, no problem. I'll see you back here, hopefully over the international break. If not, I will see you back here Boxing Day. But look, regardless, we're going to end it there. Let Daigle and Ranjit, Mr. 1,000 Names, get on with the watch along. What we're going to do is just let them get on with it. So, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust, baby. Let's fucking go.
You Spurs! That's hilarious.